What if I told you that there are two European cities located on African soil? Imagine standing in Africa, yet every street sign, every police officer, every government office belongs to Spain. Now imagine thousands of Africans trying to cross into what they see as Europe, only to be met with fences, border guards, and emergency measures. For decades, Spain have called on Israel and other countries to respect international humanitarian law and protect civilians during conflict. But when immigration surge reached Spain's own border in Africa, critics asked a difficult question. Should the humanitarian principles Spain advocates abroad also shape its response at home? Or are these situations too different to compare? Today, we explore one of the world's most controversial borders, the Spanish cities of Ceuta and Melilla, and why they continue to spark debate over history, migration, sovereignty, and international politics. Ceuta and Melilla are unlike any other cities in the world. They are politically part of Spain and the European Union. But geographically, they are in African soil, North Africa, surrounded by Morocco. This unusual reality has existed for centuries, yet it remains one of the most disputed political questions in the Mediterranean. To Spain, these cities are an integral part of the country. To Morocco, they represent territories that should eventually return to Moroccan sovereignty. To migrants from across Africa, they are often seen as one of the closest gateway to Europe. That combination makes these cities flashpoints where history, politics, migration, and diplomacy collide. How did Spain end up in Africa? The story behind and begins hundreds of years ago. Ceuta came under Portuguese control in the 15th century before later becoming part of Spain. Melilla was occupied by Spain in the late 1400s. These events took place long before Morocco became the modern independent state it is today. Spain argues that its sovereignty over both cities predates the creation of modern Morocco and therefore cannot be compared with colonial possessions that were later decolonized. Of course, Morocco disagrees. It maintains that both cities are geographically African and should eventually become Moroccan territory. This disagreement has never disappeared. Africa or Europe? Here is where things become fascinating. Walking through Ceuta, you will see Spanish schools, Spanish police, Spanish elections, and the euro as the currency. Legally, you are in Spain. Geographically, you are still in Africa. This creates one of the world's most unusual borders. Massive fences separate Spain from Morocco. These borders and barriers exist because crossing them means entering not only Spain, but also the European Union. For many migrants, Ceuta and Melilla represent hope. For Spain, they represent one of Europe's most sensitive external borders. Now, talk about migration and humanitarian questions. Migration has repeatedly brought global attention to Ceuta and Melilla. During major migration surges, thousands of people have attempted to enter those territories. Some have swum around water bricks, others have climbed border fences. Spain says it has a responsibility to secure its borders while rescuing people in danger at sea. Human rights organizations have sometimes criticized aspects of border enforcement, arguing that migrants' rights must also be protected. This tension lies at the heart of the debate. How does a country balance national security with humanitarian obligations? These are no easy questions. Now, Spain's foreign policy and the question of consistency. Spain has frequently called for greater protection of civilians in conflict around the world, including the war in Gaza. In 2024, Spain formally recognized the state of Palestine, saying it believed recognition could contribute to a two-state solution. Supporters argue that this reflects Spain's commitment to international law and humanitarian principles. Critics ask whether these same humanitarian values should also guide Spain's migration policies at Ceuta and Melilla. Right now, they are having a surge. About 49,000 Moroccans searched the fences, swam through the water, Ceuta and Melilla, and are in their cities, of geographically in Africa too, but controlled by Spain politically and legally. And right now, as at the time I was making this report of talking about this, 18 persons have been shot dead, and Spain has declared a state of emergency. This is some and these are people, or this Spain has been always been feeling that Israel is committing a war crime. So right now, I don't know how they're going to handle it. Why calling for a state of emergency when you can create a two-state for the migrants? Besides, it's their land in Africa, right? Okay, critics ask whether these same humanitarian values should also guide Spain's migration policy at Ceuta and Melilla. Others reject the comparison altogether. They argue that an armed conflict and border management involve different legal frameworks and different responsibilities. This debate has become increasingly political. Some seek consistency, others seek contradiction. Ultimately, the answer depends on how one intercepts international law, state sovereignty, and humanitarian responsibility. Now, Europe last colonies. One of the most emotional charged questions is whether Ceuta and Melilla should be considered Europe's last colonies in Africa. Supporters of that description points to geography. The cities are undeniably located on the African continent. Opponents reject the label. They argue that the cities have been administered by Spain for centuries, and their many residents identify as Spanish and have repeatedly expressed a desire to remain part of Spain. And this is why the issue remains unsolved. History, identity, law, geography, politics, each tells a slightly different story. Now, Ceuta and Melilla reminds us that history never truly disappears. And centuries-old decisions continues to shape today's political debates. Whether you see those cities as Spanish territories, disputed lands, or symbols of a much larger conversation about borders and immigration, one thing is certain. They sit at the crossroad of Africa and Europe, history and modern politics. So here is the question for you. Should geography determine sovereignty? Or should history and the wishes of the people living there carry more weight? Share your thoughts in the comments and below. Sorry, and plus, please keep the discussion and decisions respectful. This is a complex issue with deeply held view on all sides. And if you enjoyed this documentary, please don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to turn on notifications for more in-depth discussions on world affairs, geography, and politics. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye.